And waiting patiently after being another member of our game show this morning. Is this the only book you've written?
Only one. I'm working on 2 new ones, though.
Mr. Simple.
Yeah.
That's just an abbreviation I came up with.
Well, I think that's what I need to start calling the whole series. You know, I'd come up with this whole idea about being New Southern Gentlemen, but maybe I'm going to switch it over and say just simple ways to do whatever.
You mentioned the Southern Gentleman. I mean, in the old days, Southern Gentleman meant somebody that was nice and opened the door for ladies and the car door and stuff like that. And people, that's kind of disappeared now.
More than that.
It has, but we're trying to bring it back. And the problem is Southern Gentlemen got a bad rap because of some stuff that people did from the South. Everybody automatically assumed that that's what a Southern Gentleman was. But you're right. Think about the Southern Gentleman you grew up with. You grew up in New Hope, right?
Mm-hmm.
You loved all those guys that you grew up with. What kind of things did you learn from those men?
How to be respectful and stuff like that.
Yeah, and what you also learned was how to work.
Right.
I mean, because most of the
Southern job.
They did. They were farmers, or they were brick masons, or they were carpenters, or whatever. They learned how to do it. And if you think about it, it's really part of our culture. Because think back a few hundred years ago when people were coming to the South. How did they get here? They had to go over the Smoky Mountains. They had to go over the Appalachian Mountains. Think about going to Clingman's Dome. You ever been to Clingman's Dome? And go to Gatlinburg, go to Clingman's Dome and stand at the top of it and think, okay, how would I have gotten all of my stuff over this mountain with a wagon and a mule? You had to learn how to work.
Tough times.
And that's one of the things that's crazy about how easy it is for guys to get ahead just by having a good work ethic. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I've hired that were really good people, but didn't know how to work. They just didn't, and it's so simple. You call me Mr. Simple. Here's 2 ways to guarantee that you'll get a promotion and or a raise. 2 simple things. The first thing about a work ethic is show up. To show up on time. My first
I think that'd be the simplest rule of all.
You would. And I really had to learn this. My first real job was working at the GE Decatur, in the GE plant in Decatur, making refrigerators. Mm-hmm. Well, if you remember back then in the early 80s, what was in Decatur? A drawbridge.
Right.
And
you come to other stories on.
Never knew.
You never knew. So I had to be at work. The assembly line started working at 6:30 in the morning. Well, I had to leave early to allow time in case the drawbridge was up, because that assembly line was going to start at 6:30 whether I was there or not. Right. And if I wasn't there enough times, they'd find somebody who could be there on time. But just something as simple as show up. Just plan on being there 10 minutes early. You know, just show up. You'd be amazed.
People work here running camera. Abby's done a great job. 2 years yesterday, her anniversary being here. Of course, she lives next door. She can't be late. But I've had people walk in the door 5 after 6 or a minute. We got stuff to do.
Yeah, especially what you do, because it starts at 6.
It's live. There's no stopping.
Period. There's no stopping. I mean, I remember when my wife worked for ZYP, and she used to talk about the DJs who would come in, you know, literally 30 seconds before their shift started on air. And I was like, that drives me crazy. I'd be a nervous wreck.
Let me tell you a quick story. Let me brag on me 1 second. That's another term for what I'm about to tell you. Brown nosing.
Okay.
When I used to work at 31,
ding, ding,
I knew exactly what time M.D. Smith, the owner, would get there.
Yeah.
Well, I was doing morning TV or whatever. I don't even know if I'd started then. I got there always early before he got. I would be out in the parking lot picking up paper. For him to see me, then that way, it's a true story.
Good time to have a conversation with him.
Then that way, as soon as he walked in, hey, can I talk to you a second?
You had his attention.
Yes.
And you didn't have to compete for his attention.
But I still this day pick up paper when I go in a person's place of business.
Where did you learn to do that?
Just read it somewhere, I think. And if
Probably
you
your
do little things like that.
Yeah.
Zig.
Yes. It's just part of a good work ethic.
Nobody
just something
does that
simple.
anymore.
You know,
I throw out a bag of trash here and Brad step over it before he could get in the studio.
No, that's only a newspaper.
But it's amazing, and it's not people who are making a lot of money, because a lot of people think you do that when you make a lot of money. No, you do it before you get a job that makes a lot of money. A buddy of mine was a graduate assistant coach for a SEC program, and he told me his goal was to be the one who turned the lights on in the football building in the morning, and he turned them off at night.
What's he doing now? Coaching.
Coaching, yeah.
So and Coach Saban was a friend of yours back then.
No, don't know Coach Saban. But it's just simple things like that. So that's the first one, just show up. And here's the second one. Do what you said you were going to do when you said you were going to do it.
Oh, that's huge.
Boy, we've lost a lot of that.
How simple is that?
That's like dealing with clients. You get a deal with them, and, you know, I don't do a lot of contracts. Say, you going to pay me? How many times will you have to go, are you going to pay me or not? You're out 2 years behind now.
Yeah, just
Some
something.
people do, some
and just
people
think
don't.
about going in anywhere where you do business with somebody. What drives you the craziest? Somebody tells you they're going to do something or be somewhere at a certain time.
And they're not.
And they don't show up. I mean, and it's so simple. Nobody.
Dependability.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with education. It has nothing to do with specialized training. It has nothing to do with anything. What I love about these things, Jamie, is